Marcus stood in the parking lot, holding a cardboard box with everything from his desk. His hands were shaking, but not from the cold. Minutes earlier, the billionaire CEO had fired him on the spot. Then the sound of engines filled the air, one black SUV, two, then 8 more, rolling straight toward him. Every window in the building filled with faces, and the CEO's confident smile disappeared. Before we continue, if stories like this move you, hit like, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. It helps us bring you more stories like this one. Now let's begin. Marcus Reid was 34. He lived in a small apartment on the edge of Denver with his 9-year-old son Eli. Marcus had raised Eli alone since his wife left them 3 years earlier, unable to handle the pressure of a sick newborn and a husband who worked nights. Marcus never spoke badly about her. He just kept going. Every morning, he made Eli breakfast, dropped him at school, and drove 40 minutes to work as a warehouse logistics supervisor at Halden Freight, one of the largest shipping companies in the state. The company belonged to 32-year-old billionaire Claire Halden, who had inherited the business young and rebuilt it into an empire. She was brilliant, but distant. Employees respected her mind and feared her temper. Marcus was known for something else entirely. He remembered everyone's name. He covered shifts for new mothers. He taught the night crew basic English so they could pass their safety exams. He never asked for recognition. One freezing evening, Marcus found an old man locked out of his car in the employee lot, his groceries scattered on the ground. Marcus helped him gather everything, gave him his own gloves, and waited with him until a locksmith arrived, nearly missing his son's parent-teacher conference to do it. "You didn't have to do that," the old man said. "Nobody should stand alone in the cold," Marcus replied. He never learned the man's name. He never asked. 3 weeks later, a shipment error happened on Marcus's shift. A mislabeled pallet that cost the company a client. It wasn't Marcus who made the error, it was a trainee under his supervision. But Marcus never blamed him. Claire called Marcus into her office. She didn't offer him a seat. "This kind of mistake is unacceptable. Your position is terminated, effective now." "I understand there was an error," Marcus said carefully, "but if I could explain what happened." "There's nothing to explain. I've made my decision." Marcus nodded slowly. He thought of Eli, of rent due in 11 days, of the promise he'd made never to let his son feel unstable again, but he said none of it. He collected his badge, thanked her for the years he'd worked there, and walked out without another word. As he crossed the parking lot, he heard engines. He turned around. 10 black SUVs pulled through the gates in a slow, deliberate line, stopping directly in front of the building. Security froze. Employees pressed against the windows. Claire walked outside, expecting a group of investors she didn't recognize. Instead, every door opened at once. Men in suits stepped out first. Then, from the third vehicle, an older man emerged, walking with the same slow steadiness Marcus remembered from that freezing parking lot. "There you are," the man said, smiling. Marcus stared. "Sir? You work with?" "I own 40% of this company," the man said. "My name is Walter Grimes. I don't usually introduce myself that way." Claire's face went pale as she approached. "Mr. Grimes, we weren't told you'd be visiting." "I know," Walter said, his voice losing all warmth, "because I wasn't planning to announce it. I came because I heard you fired the only supervisor who's ever treated my drivers like human beings." The lot went completely silent. "He's a warehouse supervisor," Claire said, confused. "He made a costly mistake." "No," Walter said, "a trainee made a mistake. Marcus took the blame to protect a 19-year-old kid on his first month of work. I know, because that trainee is my nephew. He called me in tears last night." Walter turned to the crowd that had gathered. 3 weeks ago I stood in this parking lot in the cold with my groceries on the ground and this man gave me his own gloves. He didn't know who I was. He didn't ask. That's not a mistake you punish. That's the exact kind of person a company should be built around." Claire stood frozen, saying nothing. Walter continued. "As majority shareholder, I'm creating a new division, employee welfare and operations training, and I want Marcus Reid to run it." Gasps spread through the crowd. Marcus shook his head slightly. "Sir, I don't have that kind of experience." "You've been running it for years," Walter said. "You just never had the title." Claire walked toward Marcus, her voice quiet. "I judged you the moment something went wrong, without ever asking why. I'm sorry." Marcus looked at her. Everyone's allowed one bad decision, if they're willing to learn from it. In the months that followed, Marcus rebuilt more than a department. He rebuilt a culture. New hires were mentored instead of monitored. Mistakes became lessons instead of punishments. Even Claire changed, spending less time issuing orders and more time listening to the people who kept her company running. That night, Marcus came home late. Eli opened the door before he even knocked. "Did something good happen today, Dad?" Marcus smiled, exhausted but lighter than he'd felt in years. "The best things always happen when you stay kind, even when it costs you something." Years later, no one at Halden Freight remembered the day Marcus was fired. But nobody forgot the day 10 black SUVs rolled through the gate. And reminded everyone that character isn't shown by what you do when someone's watching. It's shown by what you do when you think no one is. If this story reached you, remember, kindness is never wasted. Someone is always watching, even when you least expect it.